Sheldon Keefe is the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs begin their regular season a week from Wednesday. God, I love saying that. A week from Wednesday against the Montreal Canadiens. Sheldon joining us here on Tim and Sid. Sheldon, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing? How are things?
Things are good. Through the first day on the ice here, so we're rolling. It's good.
I know. Is it like nice to be back in camp? I know you got a family, you got young kids at home. Like through all this nonsense, is it harder to be in camp as a human being with a family and all that real life stuff, or is it nice to be back on the ice and kind of have your normalcy back?
Yeah, well, listen, both. It's tough. You got a family at home, and like not just me, but all our staff and our employers, our families in this with us because, they're having to make sacrifices too, and not unlike a lot of hopefully the rest of the country and the province that are staying home and all those things. But we don't want to bring anything into our facility here, so our families are part of that. So they're staying home and they're adjusting to that. But yeah, I'm excited to get back to work here. I've been coming into the facility for a couple months now, but just to be back in the day-to-day and get going here after, the preparations for the season and adjusting, the uncertainty of when we were going to play and what the parameters were going to be. And then, now to be through our first day, it feels really good. And today was a really good day.
Sheldon, we'll get to your team here in a second. But I'm thinking about your situation. You have yet, as a National Hockey League head coach, to have a normal training camp with a normal 82-game season. You just haven't, and I know there are so many bigger issues on earth. I understand that, so please don't tweet in, any of you listening or watching. I get it. But you have not yet had that luxury of a regular training camp, start October, 82 games, really find your feet as a coach at this level. How difficult has that been, and what have you learned about yourself in this rather unique start to your NHL coaching career?
Well, it has been a challenge for sure. As you're going through the AHL from in my experience there, one thing about the AHL is you don't get to run a training camp. You kind of do, but it's not really, especially with how we were running things with the Leafs. At the time, essentially the entire Marlies team stayed with the Leafs through the duration of camp, and then they just kind of landed in your facility a couple of days before the season started. So you didn't really run a camp, and certainly not a traditional one. So it's been a long time since I've actually run a training camp. It's really been since the Sault Ste. Marie days. And, you're always thinking about how you would run your camp and what that would be like and the way you would want to do things. And you have to change that because a lot of the things that you would want to do or you just can't. And if you do, probably have to make adjustments to them. So that's where we're at. But, I'm just grateful to be in the league and have a chance to even have to adapt and have something to adapt to. So, I've enjoyed that process of adapting and figuring it out. And I think if anything, it's kind of even the playing field a little bit because, I don't have experience like a lot of the others, that I'm competing against here in the NHL, but it's kind of even the playing field a little bit because they've all had to adapt too. We're all trying to figure things out here and we're all kind of, you're making calls and you're talking shop a little bit and trying to figure out what each other are doing and figure out the optimal plan. And that's, I've enjoyed that. That's a fun process, and the rest of our staff has been a part of that too.
Head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Sheldon Keefe, joining us here on Tim and Sid. I've been doing my season preview reading of late, had some time off over the holiday season, and I highlighted the opening line from the Atlantic's Leafs preview, and I'm going to read it to you. It said, and I quote, "This is unquestionably a huge year for the Maple Leafs." Like, I see the big picture here, 4 straight playoff disappointments, off-season changes, your first full year, some new assistants. Does it feel to you like this is unquestionably a huge year for the franchise?
I think we all feel that. I think we all feel the urgency of the situation. At the same time, what's been the most important thing for us is to just we know what we're playing for. We know what we need to do. We know how disappointed we were, coming out of that qualification round against Columbus. We haven't forgotten that feeling. Yet, we've welcomed in a lot of new people here for me, new coaching staff, with three additions with Sam Kim on the video side of things, and then Paul McLean and Manny Maholcha as assistant coaches to add to Dave Haxtell. And then the players we brought in, the experience, there's lots of optimism, there's lots of positivity around here, lots of reasons to feel good. So we just got to, focus on each day that we have and try to maximize it and get us, as good as we can in our habits and our details of our game that are going to set us up for success in the regular season, and then have something to build upon and feel confident as we, look to secure a chance to compete in the playoffs again. So that's really what our focus has to be. And but we do recognize the urgency of the situation, but we can't get wrapped up in that. We just got to take care of each day and each practice and each time we get a chance to get better.
Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the Leafs, here on Tim and Sid. Sheldon, what went into your decision at the end of your media availability yesterday to basically say to everyone on the call, oh, by the way, Thornton, Marner, Matthews, they're going to start out in camp. See ya. Take off. Mic drop and leave. Now, I know you said other lines, but obviously, and I know, we all know that's the one that got a lot of attention. I thought it was an excellent low-key troll job on the hysteria that can be the Leafs media. Why did you choose that moment to divulge some of your early and underline early line combinations?
Yeah, well, you know what? I just finished the media, the virtual media scrum there, and I clarified that a little bit. But when I went into that, that scrum yesterday or whatever we're calling that, expecting to get those questions, and because we had discussed the fact that a lot of our players were going to be taking interviews after me. And likely we're going to be getting those questions about who they're playing with or, how it's lining up. And I wanted the opportunity to kind of take that off their plate and have it already out there so they didn't have to feel like, should I say something? Shouldn't I say something? I felt my responsibility to get it out there. And I was stunned, frankly, that the question didn't come. And sometimes in these type of setups, everybody has their hand up and maybe they don't just get to it. I don't know, but I did feel it was important to get it out there. Didn't love how I had to do it, but I didn't want my players, having to go through answering questions potentially and not knowing, what
right.
they should or shouldn't say.
So basically, in your head, you're thinking, forgive me, Timmy, in your head, you're thinking to Chris Johnson and Terry Koshank, guys, really, you don't have another question? You don't have one more question you want to ask me at this point? That's what was going through your head, and then you threw it out there?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I was trying to get the attention of Steve Keogh here, and then just to let the questions keep coming, and so we get to it. But that's the way. Yes, the things we're dealing with here. I think there were some people. I think it was Lance Hornby that said that he actually had his hand up and was going to ask the question, but they didn't get to him.
Sure, Lance. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But that was really it. I mean, I felt it was important to kind of, have it come from us and not, have it, hanging over the players' heads, because I thought, inevitably the questions would come. They didn't come to me, unfortunately. So threw it out there for everyone.
Sid and I kind of read it the same way, too. We hadn't talked about it. I know you're a Brampton man's, but if I'm not mistaken, the family's PEI. I thought there was a little fishing going on there, too. But with Thornton on the wing, you've also got Matthews and Marner here. Like that's the story that comes. Is that something you plan on keeping? Is that a day one look? The Marner and Matthews thing, I don't know if you know this, but the guy before you didn't really believe in that much. Is that something that you want to see a lot? Is that something you believe in, the Marners and Matthews part of the Jumbo Joe line? Yeah,
I do. I think those guys, they complement each other so well. The way that we've laid out the team here, the thing that's getting a lot of attention, that line, but I'm really excited to get a look at the line of Kerfoot, Hyman, and Mikheyev. I think that is just a really important line for us, and I want to give that an opportunity to go. In order for that to happen, obviously I'm taking Hyman and Mikheyev, who, had played in our top six, and using them with that line with Kerfoot. So we need people to fill spots. And obviously that's where Joe and VC come in. So we just want to give that a look, and, we'll see how long. Obviously, we don't have much of a camp here, no exhibition games or anything like that. So I would be very surprised if we don't start the season that way, because I do want to see it. And it's, like I said, it's not just that one line. It's how it affects the rest of the lineup. I think we got to give that an opportunity to go. But we recognize that we're going to have to watch it and adjust. I've spoken with Joe right from the start, even before he agreed to come to us and sign with us. I described this role and this opportunity for him, but also spoke about the fact that those guys play a lot of minutes, and he's not going to play the same level of minutes that they are. So things will move around even throughout the games. He won't play every shift with them or anything like that, but we need to maximize what Joe can bring. He's got elite brain. He's got great energy, great leadership to help our young stars, but he thinks the game the way that they do. And also the defensive intangibles that Matthews and Marner bring, the way they skate, the way they track, the way they come back on defense, all those kind of things, they really complement Joe in that sense too. So, there's great potential there, but I think the most important thing for this is just if that can work out for us, how everything else falls in place underneath it.
Man, Matthews must feel like a kid in a candy store with those two passers around him. For the most part of his 4 seasons with the Leafs, Freddie Anderson has kind of been a backbone of this team, and I recognize that. But last season obviously wasn't his best. How do you get more out of Freddie?
Well, I think that there's 2 parts to that. I think we've got to continue to push Fred, and he and I, since I've been here, we've had some very direct and honest discussions. Steve Briere, goaltending coach, he's been with him the entire time that Fred's been here. But, he's continued to push him and make adjustments to how he's coaching him and all those kind of things. Fred's, I talked just a little bit ago on another interview about Morgan Riley and the work that he's put in this offseason. Well, Fred Anderson has also been here already for 2 months and skating here every day in the facility, working with our goalie coach, something he's never done in any other offseason to this extent. And he looks exceptional in what I've seen, and he looks extremely focused, extremely ready. So from that end of it, I'm feeling really good about it. The other part of this is we've got to do a better job in front of him. There's no doubt about that. We've got to defend better. We've got to be more committed to making it harder to get to our net. And that's a big focus for us through camp. It's a big focus with our standards and the habits we're trying to build here. And then we're going to continue to work on every day. And if we do that, it's going to make, all of our goaltenders' job easier. And that's an important piece. There's no goalie out there that, that can compete if his team's not giving them an opportunity. And we at times have not done the best job in front of him and have made life hard. So all that can come together, and we're very confident that not just Fred, but whether it's Campbell or Dell or Hutchinson, that we're gonna feel confident that the puck's going to stay out of our net.
Sheldon Keefe, Leafs head coach here on Tim and Sid. Sheldon, before we let you go, you've been great with your time as always. What do you like about playing 6 teams a minimum 9 times, and what don't you like about playing 6 teams a minimum 9 times?
I think when you talk about what I like, it's going to be very competitive. First of all, we're going to see the Canadian teams and the passion of the Canadian fans, and we're going to feel that as much as they won't be in the buildings to start with. You're gonna feel that, and I think there's going to be some urgency surrounding that and some excitement. Obviously, you look around the Canadian teams, there are some exceptional players throughout the Canadian division that are going to be exciting and challenging to play against. I think if there's anything you don't like, it's probably, of course, just the variety, and there's also some great teams and, great cities and stuff that you're not going to see. But, this is great. I think given the circumstances, you have to adapt and it's going to be a much, much different feel in terms of just preparing for 6 teams and playing them multiple times back-to-backs and things like that. sometimes 3 consecutive. It has more of a playoff feel where you have to make adjustments and such. Not unlike what I went through a lot of my time in the American League. And, that part of it's going to be fun. It's going to be way, way different than any other, regular season that's been experienced, including the other shortened seasons, whether it's lockouts or whatever it's been in history where the season has been shortened. This is going to be absolutely unique. And, that's exciting to be a part of.
I'm sure the scouting changes as soon as you hear Canadian division. But just looking at the stars up front and the respective blue line, does it feel like it? I know a coach hates to hear fire wagon hockey, so maybe he'll use run and gun instead. But does it feel like this division has the ability maybe to be a little run and gun here?
Well, there's no denying the talent, and I think the coaches are going to do their best to manage that and slow things down. But like I said, it's going to be exciting. I think you're going to have, these stars on Canadian teams that are going to be competing against one another, and that's going to be really fun for the fans and for everybody involved with the league, really. We'll see how the games go. I think it'll be, as much as you say run and gun, I think just teams are going to know each other so well. They're going to be so prepared, not unlike playoffs, where, some of that's going to be really stifled, I think. So I think it could have the opposite effect, especially as the season really takes hold and, the fact, the short camps and stuff like that, teams move along and get some practice time and play some games and things of that nature. But, whatever comes our way, we'll make sure we're prepared for it. We've known for quite some time, or at least expected. It seemed like this Canadian division was going to happen. So we've had a lot of members of our organization, working on and studying the other teams, and we're going to be very prepared. And probably the biggest thing that comes out of this, perhaps, is just because there's so few teams to prepare for, there's that much more time to focus on your own team. And a lot of times, when you're playing against 30 other teams, you're just constantly chasing preparation. To prepare for different opponents all the time. And sometimes it's very, very healthy to just focus on your own team.
Right.
He is Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, a week from Wednesday, Leafs Habs. That feels good to say. Sheldon, I wish you a healthy camp in every aspect of this. Hopefully Wednesday gets here quickly and you got a full roster in front of you, and take care of yourself. Thanks, Sheldon. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it always, guys. Thank you. Take care.